Today I'm joined by a marketing leader of 14 years who is now Chief Marketing Officer at Nordcurrent, the studio behind Cooking Fever and Airplane Chefs, whose TikTok ad had nearly 1 billion views.
Branding or messaging is not what you say about yourself, but what people are talking about you. And that's exactly how that creative happened. It was just a girl playing a game ridiculously fast. Without our sponsoring, it had already, I think, like 500,000 views. With a little boost from Nordcurrent and right channels, close to 2 billion views. We started using it in our UA strategy and paid, and it's just converting very beautifully.
What do you see personally in 2025 as the biggest challenge that people are trying to solve?
From marketing side, I think catching the users, retention, keeping the interest, the loyalty, all questions, sadly, which transpire in all the industries the same way.
We talk about what's actually working in 2025, how user-generated content on TikTok are driving installs, and why talking to your players before making your creative changes everything.
Would you say this is only a strategy for someone who has a game who there's already UGC content out there?
Totally, for any kind of small games. Make it as possibly not branded and not artificial and not corporate and not addy or ad looking as possible.
What's the difference of that done well and that done poorly?
Well, I think
From someone bringing fresh eyes to one of mobile's most successful casual studios, this episode's guest and Chief Marketing Officer at Nordcurrent, Ada Mockute Jaime.
Ada, welcome to the show.
hi, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Alrighty. So Ada is the Chief Marketing Officer of Nordcurrent, so one of the leading casual game developers right now, responsible for some of the most successful casual games. We've got Cooking Fever with over 250 million downloads, so 10-year plus game. A lot of people know that. Also Airplane Chefs, which is kind of all the rage right now in China and has over 1 billion views on their ads, which is not easy. So we have over 14 years of marketing experience. And today we're going to break down scaling a thriving casual gaming community in 2025. So what that means is we're going to cover casual gaming in 2025, what players want, industry trends, the power of community, so how UGC and engagement is driving long-term success right now, and also the business of gaming, talking a little bit about brand partnerships, scaling, and monetization. So if you're a game developer, marketer, and you want to know a bit more about things you can apply today, then this conversation is for you. So first off, Ada, I want to start with, you're actually new to the games industry, technically.
Yes.
So how has it been the last 7 months? Because I'd love to know that story.
Oh, well, so 14 years of industry experience in mostly services, banking, aviation, you name it, I probably did it, except gaming. So to be honest, the beginning, I thought, where did I go? Everything is crazy. Everything is very different. I find it, to be honest, the funnel of conversion one of the hardest, comparing to e-commerce or services. And definitely a very different journey because the conversion is much slower as well. It's difficult to convince people nowadays to download apps rather than just to engage to some activity online. But 7 months in, I'm starting to feel like a mini expert, knowing all the games, gaming myself now. Wasn't a gamer, now yes. It's a wonderful industry, not an easy one for sure, not a cheap one, as I'm laughing in addition to that, but definitely very interesting and very dynamic.
Sweet. So I'm curious, what are you seeing now as the biggest challenge for developers, marketers? Because you're coming in with this fresh perspective. What do you see personally, like in 2025, as the biggest challenge that people are trying to solve?
Well, I think from development side, again, I'm learning as I'm going, which makes kind of a fresh attitude and approach. It takes a while to create a good game, and the trends are changing so fast. And then start developing something takes a year or two. You go to soft launch is not that applicable anymore. So at the moment we have an influx of casual games and of cozy games. So that's very popular. People are jumping on developing that, and then by the time it's over, God knows what's going to be. It might be neon colors and stuff like that. So I think keeping up with changes both from design, from trends perspective, and also the move of the technology, because everything's, again, so dynamic. The AI is developing. So that's from the development side, the side that I can't comment the least, but that's what I'm hearing, and that's what we're seeing with our pipeline. From marketing side, I think overall in gaming and everything, one thing is catching the users, retention, keeping the interest, the loyalty, all questions, sadly, which transpire in all the industries the same way. customers are not interested, tired, exhausted from all the information, and it's hard to keep them with the brands and the services.
Alrighty. So with that in mind, like, what do you see working right now? Because you have first-hand experience with two very different games, right? You got one that's been 10 years old and it's still going well. You have this new one which has awesome creative. Like on our first call that we had, I'll try put it on the screen, but it's got the cooking. This is the one with the chef, so the airplane chef. Like it's a very ASMR type ad for everyone who's listening to the podcast, and it's just it was so enjoyable to watch. And I'm like, wait, it's an ad. I've like forced myself. I didn't force myself. Like I was watching it as pleasure. So what do you see as working right now when it comes to we've kind of acknowledged the challenge that is to get these players, but like what's actually working when it comes to getting new players to sign on your game?
Well, of course, amazing games that are created by Nordcurrent, that works. The game itself has to be good for sure. But I think if you would talk about marketing and catching them, what we try to apply besides the UA strategy and actually integrate with the UA strategy is actually listening to what people are posting and talking. So there's this really kind of an old phrase that, branding or messaging is not what you say about yourself, but what people are talking about you. And that's exactly how that creative happened. There's two types. The one that is close to 1 billion views is a lady who has ridiculous speed playing airplane chefs. And airplane chefs, for the ones who haven't tried, is this just, I call it the perfect middle between enough of pain and pleasure. It is really difficult. You need to be really fast, but you become very, I don't want to use the word addictive, but it's like a good candy. So the girl, she's just playing it amazingly fast. It's unbelievable. You watch it and you think, wow. So what happened is we started looking for content that people are liking and engaging naturally, organically. And then we started working with strategies how to use that content to spark it, which is a TikTok word for those who don't know. You can spark content, which is like promote content in the page of the person. So you're not only using it, you can take a content and use it for your own ad strategy in different networks, paid and so on. But there's a way to actually put money to promote content in your own For You page. So for example, you post something and we put money to promote what you post, which is kind of a very beneficial way of user-generated content because a lot of people, and that might sound bad, they don't know that they're engaging with a post that has been promoted. They're looking at somebody's post on somebody's content, which is not even very advertorial because in itself, there wasn't, like a typical user-generated content, which you imagine a woman saying like, oh, I play this game, it's wonderful. It was just a girl playing a game ridiculously fast. So without our sponsoring, it had already, I think, something like 500,000 views. With a little boost from the current and right channels, close to 2 billion views. And it's actually afterwards we took it out as a content and we started using it in our UA strategy and paid, and it's just converting very beautifully. On top of that, based on this, we started looking into other creators who do the same thing, who create the content for us, and we start promoting it within their own pages. So that's one of the things that works really, really well. And what we started doing a lot, and I actually talked recently to a couple of people, the same thing is with this amount of information that everybody has, we're exposed to ridiculous amounts, and the attention loop is non-existent thanks to TikTok as well. When you watch 10-second video on a ×2 speed, is to listen to what people are doing and try to respond when even when creating creatives. Try to see what people are talking about you and use that instead of trying just to put your own message and what seems interesting to us. Kind of very simple, but that works really well.
I think you say it's very simple, but like I don't hear at least many others doing it. I guess effectively. I want to give an example of like LinkedIn. LinkedIn has the same feature. You could promote someone else's post, and it's called trying to remember, but like a thought leadership they call it instead of Spark. But it's quite expensive on LinkedIn because B2B or what have you. But again, on LinkedIn, it just says suggested or sometimes promoted. But like you said, a lot of people don't see it and don't realize it. And I can tell by the comments that they don't really realize. So this is very interesting. I'm just thinking for the person at home listening, if they have a game of a certain size, then I'm guessing they can just go out and look for this content that's out there. Would you say this is only a strategy for someone who has a game who there's already UGC content out there, or could we kind of spark someone to start making the content and then promote it?
I think it can be totally for any kind of small games. So there's a couple of ways you can approach it. So there's tools where you can do social listening, and we can talk a bit more about it later. But there's the more kind of expensive, very, very good tools. The one we're using is actually quite, I would say, affordable even for the smaller teams. Like I don't want to, promote, but you can try it, something like Brand24, which basically scrapes internet and every single day on real time finds you the content. So it's because a lot of content gets lost in the part where you're not tagged. It's just the keywords that you put in, and even if it's not tagged, you see it. That's the way we actually find all the content. So social listening tools are very, very useful, and even for the small teams. However, if you do not have a lot of yet content creators that are talking about your game, I would suggest reaching out to a couple of really smaller ones because if you look especially at TikTok, which I think is a platform that shouldn't be slept on, because especially for casual games, because if we're talking about Twitch, you won't find any creators or barely any who are playing lives or posting about mobile games, especially casual ones. On TikTok, it's a huge space where people are doing that. So I think finding micro or smaller creators that you can invite to play your game and afterwards spark and promote their own content that might work even for small games.
So what's the difference of that done well and that done poorly? Because I've been on the receiving end of this, someone saying, hey, make a few sponsored posts. And I get really lowballed because I asked a friend who worked with them in the past. So from, I guess, the developer perspective, how do we do that in a tasteful way? I'm trying to think of the way to phrase this question. Like, how do you do that in a way that will get both parties happy?
Well, I think if talking about the content itself, as I mentioned, the audience, especially on social media and overall, we're educated what is advertising. And there's a lot of fatigue with the influencers because we know we're being pushed things and very little of what they're actually promoted is organic, natural, and they want to sell it. So as I'm laughing, it takes 7 years ago and people were not, you could still, I don't want to use the word fool them, but you could put them in a situation like I'm offering it because I think it's good. Nowadays, if someone's promoting it, you go like, yeah, how much did you get paid for that?
Yeah, even if they don't mention it, like sometimes
Exactly.
they can just assume.
Exactly. So my point and suggestion would be like, of course, you need some kind of a hook why the game is interesting. In case of Airplane Chefs, that was the speed, because that's the number one amazing thing. That's just like how fast she's playing. So you need to find some kind of hook of the game that would be interesting to watch. And second, to make it as possibly not branded and not artificial and not corporate and not addy or ad looking as possible. Because it's a very simple thing, and I think it's very basic in marketing. We are buying much better from our friends or people who think are like us versus somebody where you feel like it's promoted or paid for. And that's the opportunity also, I think, for the smaller game creators, because the micro or nano creators, they're less likely to be sponsored than the big influencers or the big gaming, streamers and stuff like that. So this could be like kind of a, get 10, 15 of the smaller ones, combine them in a bigger space, use tactics like TikTok lives, which are huge. That's just TikTok.
Do they
live.
actually convert like TikTok live into downloads? When you say huge,
Yes,
what do you mean?
Yes, it does. And actually TikTok, it's not live yet, but they're preparing there's a gaming partnership on TikTok, and they're going to have a separate area for lives. And there's a lot of incentives, which can be both incentivized monetary and with the in-game rewards. And not only lives are incentivized for the ones who create, but you can incentivize, the people who are watching the lives. So it's a whole ecosystem of like a lot of gamers who are sitting both on TikTok and on games. And I think if we think about gaming, we're borrowing time from TV or we're borrowing time from social media. So I think gamers who don't want to skip on gaming, but don't want to skip on social media because of its social aspects and stuff like that, that's why it integrates so well. And that's why, especially again, for casual playing, it's a great space to promote and communicate.
Ooh, I like that because I grew up with watching MMOs on Twitch. So I grew up playing MMOs, and then I became an adult, more disposable income. What did I do? I didn't actually play the game. I just watched other people play the game. And I had a phase, Ada, where I was the guy who just dropped like the 100 gifted subs. So it's like, I'm giving all these people my time. I might as well like invest. So it's interesting because now like we have that for mobile games, but I guess TikTok is going to fill in that space. It sounds like, because I know YouTube has live streams, but I don't know, something about it where
YouTube,
I don't know if it converts.
What works for us quite well is shorts, and there's some statistic which is, I don't know how much you can base it, but like some internet statistics states that about 60% of casual games are found for TikTok or YouTube shorts. Because
So when you
overall,
say shorts, do you mean organic shorts posted on your account?
that, but as well the ones you can create for the micro influencer. So you cannot do, you cannot do on TikTok, on YouTube what you're doing on TikTok yet. Meta is joining that train soon, as we're speaking, as far as I know. But not YouTube yet. But then you can work with micro influencers, and especially if you have some kind of the base, there's a lot of content creators who just want to create content and became, gamers. For us, why TikTok is so important, we do have YouTube as well, and we have an okay channel with, I think, about 350,000 followers for a casual game, which I think it's quite strong, again, because our casual game has a very kind of a same technique, time management, which is not strategy, 17 different layers, the new worlds don't open. So, we go for new restaurants, and that's our kind of updates. But I think TikTok, especially for casual gaming, is because TikTok is casual. So, that's where the things meet.
It's in alignment, right?
Exactly.
It matches, it meets them where they're at, the players.
Absolutely. And also, I think you collect, like, again, I joined as non-gamer, and I still am a person where I do not understand why people watch other people play. It's just different.
I can explain it if you want the explanation. I've spent too much time watching people play games.
You see, and I go like, just go play the game. Just go play
Ada, it's all. This is the best way I found to explain it. We have an amount of mental energy. So playing game takes mental energy. Sometimes I have too much mental energy, which was the case in high school. I have all this time bored out of my mind at school. I come home, I'm ready to grind out 6 hours of RuneScape. Now it's the opposite. I have 8 hours, 4 of them on Zoom. I have to do this like document task. I finish work. I'm like, what do? I'm going to watch someone on YouTube play Balatro. Let's freaking go. He can have the mental energy, and I can be like, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And it's just like, I'm just like baseline. And I think it's the same thing with sports. Like sometimes you play a bunch of sports and then you're like exhausted. What do? I want to relax. I go and watch someone play sports. That's the best analogy.
You have your horses there. Probably you're watching something you support. You're not supporting.
You have horses in games too. There's a lot of games which are multiplayer, right? I want this person to win. I want this person to win. Also, if it's a roguelike, there's stakes. Is he going to make it? Which is most of the games I play. And same with casual games. The start and finish, I find, is like, there's a finish. So like, is he going to finish? Is the kind of like, it opens the loop, which I want to finish, so to speak.
I mean, I get it. That's my doom scrolling and my, TikTok tarot card readers. Love those, but I get it. I mean, I'm very happy there's people like that. I'm happy they're converting, and I think platforms like TikTok, because there's a lot of activity going on, you get to expose the games to the people who didn't know it by any chance, and they get hooked by watching it. So yeah, definitely a platform, and definitely a thing to look into, both from Live's perspective and especially from sparking other people content, just because of loyalty and simplicity.
Sweet. So before we move on to the next topic, is there anything you'd share about sparking? If anyone's at home thinking to start sparking content on TikTok, anything they should consider?
It is a bit of we're laughing, a magic thing, because sometimes you don't know what content is going to work. And sometimes we're trying the content when in our team, we're like, this is never going to fly. This is just a man eating a banana or whatever. And you go, oh, okay, 20 million views. So I think it's not to be scared to experiment, for sure. And for me, the thing is to take off my I know hat, and I know what would work, because different ages, different categories, and different social networks require different content. And some of it is, does not cross generations, does not cross cultures, and you just like don't know why it works. So not to be scared of the weird stuff, experiment with different things. And also, if you want to spark on TikTok, I think it's very important to stay on the trends and understand what's happening, not to be a bit late. Because if you compare, in my opinion, on what we see Instagram and TikTok, the dynamics is very different, very very different. And if you jump on a trend set trains in TikTok, it works. Instagram is much slower, and I think it's not as important to be very much with dates as in TikTok.
Yeah, I find it funny. So I don't open TikTok. I have it on my phone. I treat it like the once in a blue moon treat. I'm more of a YouTube short guy. But my brother and my girlfriend, they use TikTok. And then sometimes they're in conversations and they say, this trend's going on right now on TikTok. And I'm like, I swear there's a trend every other day. But then when they say trend, like they show me their feed, it's like they get like 20 out of the 40 videos is this trend, and it's mad. So like what you said was, it's sometimes like you have to go now, like if you want to cannibalize. But when we're a company and there's real money involved, right? There's someone who costs a decent amount of money to spend their attention, have to make the creative and then publish it, maybe put some money behind it. Like, how do you actually do that before the trend kind of fizzles out?
But that's the beauty. To first put on top of that, if you're using Instagram, you will see those trends after 2 weeks. That's my husband.
Yeah.
He always brings me. He's like, "Look at this." I'm like, "That's so 2 weeks ago. Come on, step up."
I'm that guy. I'm literally the guy. I show to my brother. He's like, "That's last year's trend."
Exactly. That's like, this is so old. But what we did is the beauty of TikTok is, if you look at it, the quality. You don't require very high quality creatives. A lot of trends are very easily implementable with simple tools for video editing and so on. We have, actually, our marketing team is not very big, but we have a couple very creative Gen Z people who just jump on it and do it themselves. And we just, we use takeouts from our videos, from the games, from the gameplay, and we just use whatever trend it is and try to spin it. So,
oh, interesting. So it's a proactive thing. Like they watched it on their own on TikTok, came to work and was like, guys, this is a trend we could try. And then there's no one who's like, hey, what trend are we going to do today? It's the other way around.
Like one of my favorite ones that worked very well, and it wasn't a sparked one because you also can spark your own content and promote. So a community manager for Airplane Chefs came in and he's like, look, there's a really funny video of the man talking about like how to meditate and how to be peaceful and so on. And he's holding this chihuahua who's just going crazy and biting and screaming. And it's like, and this is calming you down. He's like, we should do it with our game. He just smashed the Airplane Chefs logo on the dog, going mental. And it's like, oh, I'm so calming and so on. And it just fits our thing. They created in like, I don't know, half an hour. And I think with the Spark, it has something like 25 million views. And people are engaging and we can review. So yes, you need to be in TikTok if you want to be cool on TikTok.
That's a very nice practical tip at the end.
Yes. You got to be with the youngsters.
Yeah, sweet. Question for you. This is just a logical one from me. Like, can you track downloads from a sparked video, or is it not easy to do that?
Yes, you can. There's you can put game anchors, which leads to installs. Also, for the sparked videos, you can treat it fully as an install or purchase companies from UA perspective.
Cool. So you can be like, that creative led to this downloads, which is worth X to us. This was a good, very cool. So it's not like billboard where it's like,
no, it's not just cool to have, and we don't only base it on like, oh, we have 20 million views, that's so awesome. No. And our UA team, basically what we're trying to do is to have a huge batch of like videos that we work with TikTok One platform, which one thing organically look for content, but also we are at the point where on TikTok One we're ordering content. So we're writing briefs and we're saying, hey guys, can you do these kind of things? And they're just testing 10, 15 videos at one time, see what works. You do small tests, and once that have traction, you put more money and you just go and see how it works.
Nice. I like it. This is maybe a cheeky question, but you have two videos. One has 10 million views and the other one also has 10 million views, but then one of them has a lot more downloads relative to the views. Do you know why that would happen? Because I'm guessing you've seen a few of these.
Honestly, no. Honest question. I mean, maybe somebody can, comment and tell me. But as I said, the things that work And on Instagram, we see patterns. We kind of see, and even we have another game called Pocket Styler, which is a lot about UGC in the game and outside. And it's just the audience is a bit different age and they're in Facebook. And we understand what works there. We kind of see in Instagram what kind of content could fly, though now it's starting to overlap. In TikTok, sometimes it's just the most random thing works better. And why is it? Nobody knows. And I have colleagues coming and they're like, oh, that went viral. Let's do more like that. And you go, it doesn't work like that. That's a marketeer's cancer thing. Let's make a viral video. I'm like, on it. But also in a way, like sometimes a similar technique or even the same creator, he tried to reproduce it, just doesn't work. So sometimes there's content fatigue, I think, but also it's random magic. It's the algorithm is quite crazy, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So
Yeah.
that's why a lot of testing, because there's not a really big pattern you can just base it on and say,
Yeah.
if I do ABC, that's going to work.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Same thing with LinkedIn, by the way. Like I repurpose content, and sometimes the next time I post it does a lot better. Sometimes it does a lot worse. But to be fair to myself, like sometimes I change the visual hook or the hook. But sometimes I have this gut feeling that it's just because I've got a bigger audience now. It had a bit more fuel, and then it popped off where last time it didn't. So yeah, I think like you said, it's hard to, because it's an algorithm, it's a living, breathing thing. You can't just, at least for now, can't feed 2 videos to a bunch
But
of
I also
people.
think that that's part of the business. My career in marketing 2000 years ago started with search engine optimization, a keyword that still nobody knows fully how it works, because if we would, that'd be
It
too
wouldn't be
easy.
all these agencies charging a stupid amount of money.
Yes, and also probably just doing meta tags, updates, and stuff. But but I think it's the same with the social media content and algorithms there, because if there would be a formula, it would be very easy to just for everybody do the same thing. And part of the business that you have to test, spend a little bit of money, find the good one, then spend a lot of money, and money makes the world go round. So I think algorithms will never be very straightforward, and
Yeah.
will keep us a little bit tortured, trying
Yeah.
to guess what works.
Well, if it was easy, it would be boring. I have that. So we wouldn't
Agreed.
be here talking about it.
Absolutely.
So I want to talk about community now, because we've mentioned TikTok, but I've had to think correct me if I'm wrong, a community would be better on a place like Discord, where it's controlled in a sense where they're like, that user's there. But TikTok, I guess that's a community as well, but I guess it's not one that you like own, but they can like stop by. So like,
And I think that's where we have a certain game specific. Again, Cooking Fever, Airplane Chefs, they have a game specific of a similar, technique, time management. And if you go on Discord, because if you look at our social media contents, 99% is give us more gems, give us more fuel, give us, classic, need more resource. So Discord would be very boring, and also people wouldn't have too much to discuss, because it's about the speed, how fast you do it, and so on.
with you, there's not as much strategy to talk about versus another game like one that I'm following a lot is Balatro. There's 1,000 things you can talk about on Balatro, but with this one, I guess
Exactly.
less
There's
things
not
to
too
talk
much
about.
strategy. Either you're good at it and you do it, and you hustle until you do it, or not. So there is another game, Pocket Styler, as I mentioned. So that's a fashion game which has multiple layers. One thing is you create outfits as a stylist, then you upload them, people are voting, you get points. But also there's this designer hub where you can create actual outfits yourself and then sell them for an internal resource. Now that has a very strong community because it's female, and surprisingly, the audience that chose this game is female. That is, I would say, 30, 40 plus. Interestingly enough, of course, we have younger players as well. Yes, but so they have very, very active, very passionate Facebook groups where they hold the conversations, they have the leaders of the groups, they have this kind of all community, which we are, if you're listening, Pocket Styler players, we are there, we're just silently watching.
Oh,
But
interesting. You don't own those groups. They community run.
no,
Is
they're
that a choice?
community run. Yes, that is in a way a choice, because as it is, a lot of content in the game is UGC, user generated content. So they generate items themselves. So naturally, somehow they kind of create like fashion clans, and they have groups, they vote for each other and so on. And again, as a game creator, we're very happy to listen and to collect the feedback and bring it to our developers and go like, this is working, this is not working, and so on. But I think if they would have a conversation with us directly, I don't know if that would change too much, because probably it would be a lot of like just I don't want to say criticism, but ideas how to change, which we see anyway. What they do, they create communities which they vote for each other. They promote their own items they create, and there's the big whales that are like the leaders of the group. So for us, it's actually not even useful to own that community because we wouldn't be controlling the conversation, and we would not like to control the conversation as it flows very naturally and actually creates the actual feeling of the community versus a place which I control what you say. So,
Yeah.
so this is for pockets, Tyler, and I think because of the specific target audience, they don't use Discord and things like that. Now, for airplane chefs and Cooking Fever, there's also Facebook groups. Cooking Fever, I think initially because the game celebrated 10 years just last summer. So, and overall, our fancy social media listening tools give us that the sentiment is like it's an amazing game and there's a lot of nostalgia because you used to play it as a child, your mom used to play it, now you're playing it again, and what changed. So, and also because at the moment it's not peer-to-peer game, it is more about your own achievement, and again, not too much strategies, kind of showing off like, okay, I unlocked that 45th restaurant or I did something like that. So for us, again, I don't know how much could we help out or increase the conversation. We do that with our infiltrated agents if needed. Other than that, our main community communication happens within our Instagram and with Facebook, where we do a lot of competitions, we do a lot of updates and announcements, tournaments, and everything, and the conversation holds very, very well there.
Very interesting. It's interesting to me because I recently had a guest on who owns a company where they facilitate Discord communities for gaming studios. And because of AI now, what you said, like the sentiment checking, there's some really cool things you can do, like plugging into Discord where it like has a nice dashboard and whatnot. And I'm reflecting that works very well for multiplayer games, or there's an element of peer-to-peer, and there's an element of what we discussed earlier, like meeting the player where they're at. The switching mental cost of getting someone to Discord is just not worth it. Like, it's just not happening. If it's a new game, different story, I think.
Absolutely.
But like for your game, it makes complete sense to,
and now,
I guess, not own it.
We have Nordcurrent has its part called Nordcurrent Labs, and we're creating games for PC and consoles. And that's a different thing. Awesome games. Check it out. Very amazing ones.
Wait a minute. Can I double check? So Nordcurrent makes mobile games, but you're now also making like cross-platform as well?
Absolutely, yes. So Nordcurrent Labs is our kind of in-house daughter situation.
We do, yeah. Nice.
So we have released a couple of games already. Very amazing game is coming out. It's called Eric's Home. It's just gorgeous. I'm not a gamer, and I was like, I am going to play that game. So definitely recommend checking it out. And so for those games, PC and consoles, Discord, Reddit, yes, absolutely, because it's a different conversation. There's strategy. There's, do you get stuck or do you conversate? Even like, the statistics and practice talking to developers is very, very useful because you have a different relationship to the game. That different story. But casual time management games and Discord, for me to take that, our average player is a female who's like 25 to 45. So for me to get her, to Discord, it would be very difficult.
Yeah, I think you meet the players where they're at.
Absolutely. We try to kind of, make them group together where they are. And TikTok in a way works as well. Again, TikTok, for example, for us is working very well now on Airplane Chefs because TikTok is very big in Asia. Airplane Chefs is like #1 in China on tablets, and it's very popular in Indonesia.
Is that a separate TikTok?
For Airplane Chefs?
For China and like the Western, do you need to do separate stuff?
So for China, yes, but they also use TikTok, but they have additional apps, which we're not at the moment. But Malaysia, Indonesia, they have the same. All Southeast Asia is the same. So our community for Southeast Asians on TikTok is huge. And again, We supported a lot of them creating lives and actually spreading the message of the airplane chefs. But it's very interesting to see. There's again, it's like a little ecosystems where they do these things where they kind of try to cheat and then they email us like this creator's cheating, don't allow him to do that. And it's like, honestly, it's like a little world where all the cool ones know the other cool players, others are joining, they're teaching each other, they're helping each other with difficult levels. It's nice to see. And we just kind of what we try to do is again support lives now to encourage them to do more, to create content. Just even the social media listening tool, the first reason for that was in our size, we have the capability to keep the conversation with a lot of people who are posting of us, about us or making videos and so on. So, when a little creator posts something about the game they love and the game, just comments back saying, thanks for playing, it just always goes, so it's like kind of, because, oh, I got noticed. And it's really funny. Like I was laughing yesterday, we got a comment on a video. A guy posted about airplane chefs, got maybe a couple hundred likes. And he's like, the caption was, airplane chefs, please talk to me so I can tell my friends something good. And we're like, sure, buddy. And it's just like friends started commenting. So I think for a lot of people, gaming, it is a big part of the day and culture and every day watching gaming. And if you keep the conversation, which again, it's easier for us in these platforms, that is also a way to build a community. It's a two-way communication. We're there. We're very achievable as well.
Exactly. And there's not a stupid cost because, like you already told me, the marketing team isn't humongous. So, like, this is all manageable for people who aren't at Nordcurrent size either.
Absolutely. Well, to let you know, just marketing without the UA, we are in single numbers. So
there you go. So all possible here. Amazing. I want to touch on things I guess we could do outside of the game, because you mentioned on our first conversation about the restaurant partnership and how I think you tried to use your previous experience before coming to games. And I wanted to, do you mind sharing the restaurant story with us?
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you any brands because I'm still, crying in a corner. No, so basically it's about brand partnerships, and games do a lot of brand partnerships, and the bigger ones, of course, has a lot of, huge ones. You can talk in Supercells and Brawl Stars and Toy Story and a lot of things like that. And Nordcurrent also had very good experience with brand partnerships. We had very cool partnership with Coca-Cola, with Barcelona Football Club, and Cooking Fever, which seemed like what, but it was extremely successful. But the way I came in again from another industry and what I'm seeking and I'm kind of trying to communicate that a lot of brand partnership is just putting a product or a logo in the game and just kind of, like, again, very push advertising. And it's one way, like I'm going to put the brand. And also what was very surprising for me, and it's just me because I didn't know gaming, is that if we work with the brand, the game pays the brand. And for me, it was like, I'm giving you advertising space. Why am I paying for licensing? So for me,
for everyone at home, the game has to pay a brand for the brand's logo to be displayed in the game to potentially millions of people. And it's interesting how, I mean,
exactly.
Do you get a discount like with that in mind? Like, by the way, you're going to get all this awareness.
So apparently very normal practice because they look at it as licensing, and the idea is that because I have a brand, the game will perform better. And sometimes it does on a kind of, on an in-app purchase and so on. But the way I see it, again, because I am not from gaming, I see it as an amazing, intimate advertising space where you can do interactions, not like just put a brand, put some kind of a product into the game, because that's not going to affect too much. So the idea, we had this dream restaurant we want to put in a Cooking Fever, and I managed to get a contact with people who deal with their licensing, and I think that's the problem. And I said, look, guys, we wanna, and we were ready to pay even that. We're ready to pay. I was like, we wanna do a restaurant based on your brand, which means, the restaurant will be your name, the menu will be your menu, everything's gone, because we had a good partnership with the GI Fridays last year. So it's kind of the same thing, or we had a Hard Rock Cafe restaurant. So everything is basically a digital restaurant with a digital menu, which is the basic partnership. But I said, let's do this. Let's do that. The people who play our game, after they finish whatever easy level 5, which is 5 minutes, they open a secret QR code, and that restaurant has an app that is used worldwide, And within that, you open a secret menu, and you go to a restaurant and they can purchase that menu only with that QR code. So, I create, again, intimate advertising and so on, intimate relationship. But another thing, we connect the offline and online, which is very, very nice because you kind of, merge two worlds. And not, if we do like combine communication very, very wisely, again, don't want to mention the restaurant, but they're quite big. Secret menus is always a thing people talk about, and it goes always viral because they want to
because
try it
then
out.
you get a lot of UGC content for the restaurant, for the
Absolutely.
game. Everyone's winning.
And organically. So for us, the benefit would be, because what we're seeking is mostly installs from these kind of partnerships. So for us, because of the brand partnership and the content going viral, and people maybe wanting to try out the secret menu, they would download the game just to play it out. The retention is risky thing, but we would get the installs. You guys would get sales because, again, average 8 to 10 million monthly players. You want a limited geography? No problem. We can limit geography you chose. And the implementation, again, we can do it either through API, which is a bit more difficult. If you want, we can just do a once-off, originally generated QR codes per each player. So basically, we were just like, let's try to do this because it has.
You gave it on a plate, pun intended.
Yes, while agreeing to pay for it ourselves. So we're like, we will pay for that. And that discussion has been going on since I joined, because it was literally first weeks when I joined, I managed to get the contact. So 7 months. And in the end, it was like, no, we want you to just put the restaurant, pay a very, let's just say, fatty amount of money, and let's not do that. And again, for us, if we put a brand, like, again, for example, Cooking Fever, we do about 3 new restaurants, 3 new locations every year on average.
Are they branded, all of them?
No. Most of them are not. Most of them are like seashore, Chinese or whatever, different theme. So for us, the influx of like activity and in-app purchases, whether we just release a restaurant that is new, whatever it would be, Christmas themed or whatever theme, or we do a branded, practically doesn't differ. Because people are seeking new things. They played the restaurant, they finished the level, they want a new restaurant. If it's branded or not, it doesn't affect the in-app purchases so much. So it doesn't affect our revenue. So for us to pay, amount of money, what we're seeking is conjoined marketing so we can have more installs and attract new people.
Yeah.
And then also, benefit our own players. And that's just, for us, just putting a brand and paying, 7 number sums for that is not going to be effective. And that's the thing that is a bit difficult for me to digest. And what I'm trying kind of to approach differently, that I think in these situations, like with us, for example, or with many games, we should approach it not from the licensing perspective, but an advertorial kind of innovation partnership, because you can combine online and offline, you can combine online and online, and you can drive sales for both. Because I'm laughing and always kind of saying, example, I'm a doom scroller and that's my guilty pleasure, but I'm hardly influenceable nowadays because of the amount of content, and I just doom scroll. The morning comes, you're tired, day is over. I don't have like an intimate relationship with the brands, or because I know it's advertising. In the game, you can do activizations for both online purchases. You can do checks, you can do little mini games, you can create a different kind of relationship, especially if you're launching some kind of new product, updated product.
I'm just thinking like discount codes, like would that just work?
That's the simplest thing you can do. You can do discount codes, you can do in-game lotteries where you can generate users to, collect emails, collect data. A lot. I mean, the possibilities are endless.
Oh yeah, the emails is crazy. Like register to their app and you will get 5 store credit. Like exactly. Starbucks is basically a bank because of their app, right? Like that's how they make their money, just on all the interest. So like I see personally the benefit. I'm thinking for people at home, Ada, because I'm actually going through this myself. I have an event happening in 5 weeks' time in Manchester. So it's like a game summit. And I'm doing outreach to sponsors for that event. And I figured out this podcast can be sponsored for a very big amount of money because it's very niche and it's all the right people, like it's games industry professionals. There's not many out there. And you could get 6-figure deals a year for a sponsorship like this because it's super aligned. So you have the exact same situation, like a super aligned audience, people playing a chef game, and some of them who have spent money and they have disposable income. So I see the alignment. I'm wondering, because I'm in a little coaching community where they have like people who've already done it before, and what they found very successful for like getting sponsors' attention is pretty much always like, we did it with this, your competitor. Do you want to do it as well? Like that has been like the go-to for like the first couple messages. So I'm wondering, is this the situation where, because these guys don't have the incentive to try new things that won't work because they're a big company and the gatekeeper, they don't have the incentive that me and you have, where like we want to see the number go up because that's my incentive. But sometimes their incentive is like, don't screw things up or waste time. So they have a very high negativity bias. I'm wondering if we have to prove the concept and then present it to a big guy.
In a way, yes. I think one of the problem is the way we treat it, again, because it's always put with the people who deal with a license and license partnerships, which is mostly, t-shirts, pajamas, toys, stuff like that. So they know that, and then I come in with gaming. It's very difficult to even, I'm telling things which are very simple to me, but they go like, let's, royalties, how do we pay that? I'm like, what if we do fixed fee and so on? So I think it's the attitude. And when I start now kind of trying to approach the chief marketing officers, the people who are, working with the product itself, they were like, oh, wait, okay, that many million people, million people a day play this game and I can interact. And we're like, again, open to do, not necessarily, we don't have to pay each other. We can just do things together because we both benefit. For me, I think the problem at the moment, and again, 7 months baby, and maybe, let's talk in 2 years, I'll be like, that's how it's done. I was stupid. But for
put
me,
a note in that. We'll run it back in 2 years and we'll do the update.
I was wrong. I'm sorry.
I think it will be, I have learned, and
I've learned. Yes. I'm always happy to say that, I was wrong. But the way I see it is at the moment is just the way it's treated, especially for the games that are not, GTA 6 or Roblox. Partnership, I don't want to say it's like arrogant attitude of like, you will put the brand, therefore you will benefit. It doesn't work always that way. And I think it is hard to reach the people who would look from it in a marketing perspective versus like, I will give, earning money from putting a brand from licensing. So
are you having this conversation on a video call, email, in person? Because I wonder if this would work in person, because it's quite complicated.
Well, at the beginning, I'm just talking people to find the right people. That's, for example, we will have a partnership now with Puma launching very soon, end of March, with like our first big athlete leisure. And we're dealing with people who deal with gaming. So for me to come in and say, hey, we are this, good big game provider, and this is the game, maybe you know it, maybe you don't. But for me to get to the people who make this decision is quite difficult. So now I'm kind of, again, warming up. I have some really like opportunities where I think they're just so perfect. If they would pass up, I'll cry again in a corner. Not the first time, but
remember, no is never no. It's just not now. So like follow up, like I mean, that's my business. Like one of the business is ghostwriting. The other one is outreach. So we have like 4 clients we do outreach for. Some clients literally just said no. But then we got them on a call and they signed a contract after 4 months of just saying hi. And he's like, oh yeah, now we have budget. Let's chat.
So for me at this point, I think it's just whoever I talk to from like smaller brands or the brands who are not necessarily a good fit. And we just kind of, checking the concept. I'm like, am I delirious here and I'm talking nonsense, or does it make sense? I'm like, no, that makes sense. So now it's just about approaching the right companies, and a lot of them are quite granular, and you have the VP and the 20,000 people underneath them. So yeah, different tactics we're trying to think about now. But I do think that at least I agree, if we would have at least one successful partnership from the perspective of let's do as a joint marketing venture, rather than I put a brand in my game and let's see how we can benefit each other, both utilizing our community and your social media and maybe even interactions outside, because the beauty of the games that we can do geographical things, we can limit if one market is more important than another. So I agree that, yes, I need that one good cherry on the top, and then I can wave it and say, that's how it's done. So wish me
honestly, because this podcast is a very good example of that. You might not be here if I didn't have someone else who agreed. Right? Because I had people say, not right now, you've just started, you have 2 episodes.
Mm.
Fair enough. But my first 7 episodes were people who didn't care. They wanted to do the podcast for podcast's sake. But then it's got a bit of a critical mass now where there's not that many B2B gaming industry podcasts where if I ask the CTO of Sansoft, who I had on recently, he will probably say, sure, because I've had the president of EGDF, for example.
Mm.
So it's almost like we want the tier A. If we go first to tier A, then we have a hit rate. There's not 0%, but like if we present tier A, like, oh, here's all the other partnerships we've done. Here's what they benefited in numbers.
Yeah.
Do you want the same? Or otherwise, we're going to do it with this other restaurant, which is their competitor. Like, whoa, calm down. I found that is the play when it comes to getting like the big fish anyway, is to always just be like, time's up. We're going to do it with these people.
Yeah, and I fully agree. Again, the only thing is like the big brands are agreeing to do it the way they want it. I want it a bit more beneficial for both. And I think in the most important thing, more beneficial for the player, because it's much more fun to have interactive things. And that's where trying to introduce a newer concept and break, hard build patterns becomes a bit more difficult because I'm like, what if? But I'm sure, bit by bit, give me more 7 months and we'll be.
Yeah, I'm keen. I think that it has to happen. It has to happen. It's just too good of an idea.
Exactly. It's so simple. It's just like take my people and, talk to them. That's all I'm
Great. If you know someone who owns a restaurant, please reach out to Ada.
Not necessarily the restaurants. We're open to airplanes, aviation, airlines, any kind of products.
Surely Ryanair is going to snap this up. Like, I've seen their TikTok. They're pretty hilarious.
Ryanair, if you're listening, we're here. We're ready for you. We can even make, if you want bad service on the airplanes, where you can get points for not serving people.
I think we just comment on their TikTok.
Yeah, could be
every day. That's another funny thing I realized once is like the person who runs Supercell's LinkedIn page is not Supercell, it's a human being. So every person they see replies to their comments. Some of Supercell's posts get like 8 comments.
Yeah.
So if you're like the person who comments, they're seeing it every time. So like, I found that's a not easy way to get attention, but like for the clients we do outreach for, they just do a little comment or a little like before sending the request. They're like, it's Harry. So warming them up in public is an option. Awesome.
We'll just challenge them.
Yeah, exactly. Just call them out. Just call them out.
You suck. You're not in a game. Whoa. Come, we'll create. I mean, we're offering to create a plane, all branded by the plane with a specific food for the country and so on. Mm-hmm. Good opportunity.
No, 100%. Very interested. We can have in 2 years, we're going to present the Ryanair deal and the very big restaurant deal. Sweet. So you mentioned just there, I wanted to touch on it, making it right for the player. If anyone's at home thinking, cool, I don't have the restaurant saying no to me problem. I want to do a brand partnership for my game. How do we do a brand partnership that benefits everyone? So the licensee, maybe not the right word, the studio, but also the player, like everyone's kind of enjoying it. Like, do you see any good examples of that?
Well, I think, if you look at the casual games at the moment, it's a lot about dynamics. Probably the trends and keywords of the year is all the live opportunities, the live ops, the games, the stuff like that, like, special events for the occasion. So I think that's one of the ways to do it, is where you integrate the brand partnership and activities that are beneficial both from resource perspective, extra offers, extra special things, events you can participate that are branded by the partnership that are not only the same in the game, but maybe like mini games could be done very well also, because again, I think you want to create a special relationship and the player to be excited the brand is joining. So if you, I don't know, let's take Coca-Cola as an example, and you integrate it in the game, and if you have some kind of special Coca-Cola mini game or challenge or live event where you can get resources, you celebrate the fact that there's a special thing, and then good sensitive, good emotion, and everything goes. So I think it's not just integrating simply, but creating extra activities and extra benefits that the client would celebrate the partnership rather than just like, okay, cool. We do not have things like mods and different things, but in other games you can also see, like, again, we mentioned Supercell and Brawl Stars with Toy Story. They did very, like, many characters, different things. Some you can get for free, some you have to purchase, of course. But then, people are excited because they have extra. I don't play Brawl Stars, my husband does, but he was very excited that some of the guys are very strong and have some superpowers which help them win. So again, making an occasion, making it special, I think that's one of the key things, rather than just kind of treating it as that advertorial.
Yeah, I think if it's just a skin, then you're missing the trick. If you make it more of like a celebration, like you said, it's like,
Yeah.
wow. And also, I'm guessing the time limited part makes it a bit more
Absolutely,
exciting.
that's always necessary. I think otherwise it's not as special, and you just become, a game that is branded for something else. So time limited event. That's what we're doing with Puma. We have a special collection coming out in a fashion game, and within the special collection, you have limited items who are going to be only out for a special event. So only limited time you can get those, and they give you extra points automatically, and so on. So it's kind of the need to jump on that time and celebrate, and that actually those items will increase your possibilities having high scores and winning special titles. So you want to participate and you want to interact with that.
Nice. Beautiful. And the good thing about mobile games is it's all tracked. So the amount of time, the amount of players interacting with your brand is not random, which is, I find, really interesting.
Absolutely.
All right. Ada, so given what we've discussed today, there's a developer, marketer listening to this. What from today would you have liked to give more context on, or any advice for anyone who's marketing in today's world?
Well, I think, I read this very fancy line. It's like community is your anti-churn kind of a shield. So I think, concentrating on communities, because these are your ambassadors and these are people who are, possibly spending money, spending time and investing, and this is your key. Then basing on communities and people who communicate about your game, listen to that, listen what they're saying and what's important to them, what messages and triggers, and then spinning the advertising messages towards that. Because a lot of times we think, oh, this is the point of my game, and actually for the player it's totally different trigger or totally different hook that works. So listen to what people are saying. They're talking about your brand, and actually you are what they're talking, not what you think you are. And I think utilizing UGC, because it saves not only time, it can save a lot of money as well. Jumping off from having to create creatives and adverts where you can just use what people are already creating. But again, different approach because of the trust. Things communicated by people versus things communicated by brand, different relationship. So that would be probably my top 3 things I would advise.
No, I'm seeing that a lot in the LinkedIn world. So if a post looks like it's not an ad, it will perform better, get more engagement, community, and more call to action like response.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, things I personally have allergy to LinkedIn, and then my PR agency is making me, be active, which I understand why. But I said, look, guys, if I'm going to do LinkedIn, I'm going to do it my way with my horrible sense of humor. And it works because it's human. It's, you talk about branded things, but then you put kind of yourself, you put authenticity, and then it works.
100%. Like what you just said is hitting the nail on the head. Like it needs to feel right for you, and then be human. 100%. Amazing. Ada, let's end it there. That was really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. Time flew by.
Yes, it did. How can people get in touch? If you're Ryanair, if you're someone who just wants to chat more, how should they get in touch?
If you have a knife company you want to promote on Cooking Fever, well, you can find me on LinkedIn simply by going Ada Nordcurrent. I'm the only one. That'd probably be the easiest way.
Lovely. So everyone check the bio for the link, and everyone at home, thanks for listening. Hey, you've come the whole way. We have 2 marketers on the podcast, so I'm going to ask you, subscribe. Maybe pop it in the Slack channel. Share this episode, because I think it will be worth it for them. Amazing. Alrighty. Ada, everyone at home, goodbye, everyone.
Bye.